Before we start the core of our conversation, what does the word luxury means to you, Ashley?
Yay, well, luxury is indeed, to me personally, it is great comfort, it is elegance, it is definitely something very desirable and pleasurable, but not particularly necessary. So if you don't have it, you're not going to die. It's not a must, but it's definitely good to have. And very often it is something expensive that makes you feel different. So it essentially changes your state when you put it on, or when you sit in a luxurious place, and when you're going through a luxurious experience. It changes your state, it elevates your mood, and again, it just brings you into this different state of mind.
Thank you for sharing. Ashley, you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, chosen a China Insights and Training Company, and Alaris, a social media agency, a best-selling author of 3 books, and also a vlogger. What was your inspiration to start your business and specializing in China social media?
Yeah, well, for me, I've actually moved to mainland China when I was 17 years old. And for me, I observed the way China undergone through this digital transformation. Everybody got onto mobile devices and smartphones, and social media popped up, and suddenly everybody was on social media, and suddenly it was e-commerce all the way, and then the merger between e-commerce and social media. So for me, the mission is to truly introduce what's happening in China to the rest of the world, and to be a bridge to essentially bring Chinese consumers, Chinese people, cool new products, and to help international companies that truly want to have this global outlook, to bring them understanding of China, and to make sure that they can be successful within this market. So I am a connector, and I love being the bridge between these two cultures, I would say. And at the same time, being in business, and especially in marketing business in China, is so fun. Joanne, how fast it changes, and how much drive is there, and how much technology and data and never-ending innovation goes into our industry, and happens all the time. So this industry and working in mainland China makes it extremely exciting. You constantly learn, you're constantly exploring, and essentially we are building the future, because I believe very strongly that if you want to see the future, you just go to China, and you see the future of EV, or let's say smart cities, you go to Shenzhen. You want to see the future of luxury, you go to Shanghai. You want to see the future of AI innovation, you go to to Beijing, etc., etc. So you want to see the future of night economy, go to Changsha. So all these are all these are very, very interesting cities.
Yes, I fully agree with you. China and social media is indeed very exciting. Ashley, you started this journey less than 10 years ago. Today, you are a recognized China marketing expert, even named a guru on digital marketing, a visionary of the media and technology. And you are also regularly featured on BBC, Forbes, Wall Street Journal, just to name a few. How did you accomplish so much in such a short time?
Well, it's been 10 years. It's not such a short time. Very often companies and founders, in fact, accomplish a lot more just in a few short years. But again, I think for me, it was really a journey. And that was a journey of, a startup entrepreneur. The first 3 years were absolutely miserable, because nobody wants to talk to you. You're like a small guy who is trying to, build the portfolio, prove the credentials. And I believe it's extremely important to work on your reputation. Just like when you go to school for the first time, right? And the teachers don't know you. So you as a good student need to work on your reputation for a couple of years, and then the reputation is going to work for you for the rest of the learning career, or learning life, or school year at least. So the same thing happens in business. The first couple of years, a lot of learnings. You need to handle your own mindset. You need to understand what the market wants. You need to prove yourself, establish yourself, etc. So I've been through that, and for me that journey was minimum 3 to 4 years. And later on, I think the point that really made a huge difference in my career was the time when I started doing thought leadership, when I put myself out there, when I started recording videos, when I started writing a blog, when I started writing for media, when I published a book, just sharing your knowledge, just making sure that you are consistently sharing your best take, your best insights, that you allow people to follow your journey and you share freely and you are inclusive. You are inclusive of other marketing agencies, you are inclusive of other China watchers and China experts, and you really build a community where we are supporting each other and we are making the pie bigger. And essentially through it all, we are educating and elevating the level of the whole industry. We're educating brands, in-house teams, we are educating each other, and we are becoming better. So for me, that was the moment that really brought me onto LinkedIn stage, and LinkedIn played a significant role in my establishment as a thought leader. And later on I ventured out into all these other platforms and formats, and that had a significant impact on my business, of course.
Yes, the beginning of an entrepreneur is indeed very challenging. And you have shown the world that you are indeed a good student, as you said, very with honors, and as well helping other fellow students.
Absolutely, and we all rise together. I don't believe in competitors. I don't believe in, let's not share something that we know because somebody can take this knowledge and do it by themselves. I really believe in sharing freely and being inclusive, and because we rise together. And your customers, that want to come to you and that need help, they will always come. Those that want to do it by themselves, they will always do it by themselves. So it really is not exclusive. It is truly inclusive all the way.
You very often tell others that you have to be a thought leader. There's no other choice. Can you share a bit more of information about that?
Absolutely. So I do believe, and this is my strong conviction, that in 2021, there's just no choice. If you want to be a business owner, if you want to, run your own business long term, and you want to be successful, or even if you work for a company in a senior leadership position and you want to be a great asset to the company long term, you need to start building your own tribe, your own base of followers, people like you that are watching China or watching, I do not know, UFOs or whatever, and you build your own community, your 1,000 true fans. And through this, first of all, that pushes you to constantly learn. If I want to continuously educate my network and bring them the latest insights and trends, that also pushes me to constantly stay on top of these things. So I actually have a team of people that bring me the insights and news and latest happenings, and then I pick and choose what do I want to talk about. So this is the process that that I probably wouldn't have done if it was just for me, but because I need to share it with somebody else, with my network, I'm doing that, and that keeps me learning. At the same time, you are, as mentioned, you are just making your industry better, you're raising the standards. At the same time, it doesn't matter what kind of business I want to go into, let's say in 10 years from now, maybe apart from Eloise and Choizan and my social media and training business, I would want to open, I don't know, an umbrella company, or a company that bakes cookies, or a brand factory. Doesn't matter what it is. I know that I have people in the business world that are watching me, my journey, and nobody in the world wants to follow a brand, just a name or just a company. Everybody wants to connect and follow the other human being because we share our story. This story inspires others. And once you really connect on LinkedIn or YouTube or whichever other platform it can be, and you build this connection with others, they will always support you. For instance, follow let's say influencers like Gary Vee, why they are able to launch a very successful sports line, even though their core business was always marketing agency, because they have followers that can very quickly give them feedback on their sneakers, that can guide them into this business model, because they can activate, they can relate, they can activate this product very, very quickly, and essentially they can move into this sea fast as well. So I believe there's a huge asset in it, and anyone and everyone shall be working on establishing that thought leadership right now.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing, Ashley. Our audience is in the luxury segment: travel, hospitality, art, lifestyle brands, high jewelry. Some are physical products that you can wear or own, such as a jewelry or a boat. Some are entirely experiential, like a stay in a luxury hotel, private island, or a unique trip in a private jet to Antarctica. The physical product in many cases, is available to purchase in China. The experiential experience is probably overseas. Each luxury brand, though, wants to get the attention and the business of the Chinese luxury consumer. Is there a one-size-fits-all type of strategy for those two categories, product versus experience?
Well, absolutely not. Luxury is the experience. Doesn't matter whether it is product or an experience as a service, but it is all about it's all about this feeling that the thing or the experience gives you, right? So it's always essentially an experience. And of course, in order to make it special, in order to make it unique, sellable, desirable, luxurious, we need to have a tailored approach. So I think Chinese consumers, without a doubt, are the most desirable target group for luxury industry, because they've been proven to be the biggest luxury shoppers and the ones with the biggest aspirations and the youngest as well, etc., etc. So there are of course some general rules, like what do Chinese consumers that are purchasing luxury in general want? What do they in general, for example, find unattractive? For instance, we already know that if you are inconsiderate when it comes to Chinese culture, right? If you're not culturally sensitive, that's definitely a no-no for all luxury consumers. Or if you are, for example, working on your word of mouth, but through digital means. For instance, you have luxury concierge, you have a private pool where people are being looked after, and you continue to maintain this relationship over time through platforms like WeChat, Weitao, etc. This is something that pays off big time in the luxury segment as well. And offline events, doesn't matter how difficult it is, whether you're removed, whether you're a private island somewhere in Maldives. Physical events are also working very well for this sector in mainland China. So there are general direction of what luxury in China could or could not be likely, but each brand needs to create their own strategy because they want to be different and because they want to find their luxury consumer. Luxury consumers are also different. There are millennials, young people that are looking for one thing. There are older people that are looking for the other. There are people from the north and from the south. They again have completely different values and desires. So you need to truly understand in China, who are my consumers and how do I build this journey, both online and offline, that fits them, and not only fits them and entertains them and educates them, and but also sells to them. This makes my experience or my product more desirable. So you want to work together with the Chinese desire and appreciation of luxury, because I think in China also this appreciation for luxury is in fact cultural. Nowhere else in the world, when we in the West were still in the dark ages, running around as barbarians, in China we already had luxurious silks, and we had the whole industry catered to wealthy people appreciating unnecessary but pleasurable, comfortable, desirable, elegant things. So this appreciation for luxury was always there. So how do you build this unique journey and encourage the appreciation for your product within China's cultural context is something that every brand needs to design on their own.
The strategies, product versus experience, are totally different. And as well, looking at online and offline strategies, as well, different parts in China, what the preferences and requests are, and as well, different strategies for each individual brand.
Absolutely. So when it comes to experience versus a physical product, obviously for a physical product, you can already be on, JD Luxury Pavilion or Tmall Luxury Pavilion, and you can already set up pop-up stores, and you can truly engage, big celebrities or bloggers. You can launch really cool live streams. You can create a lot of anticipation, fashion shows. You can create your own IPs, collaborations, etc., etc. You can truly be a part of China's, conversation. But when you are in experience, especially given this COVID-19, people have no way to experience. They cannot fly right now to the Maldives, or they cannot really go to Antarctica, as you mentioned, via that private jet. But you can still create a tribe that wants to go, that wants to try. You can still, create certain, kind of offline get-togethers. But of course, it's especially in this past year and the coming year, 2021, it is a lot more difficult. So you need to stay more creative, and you need to also understand that, of course, the purchase itself is going to only come likely in 2022. Hence, maintain the relationship, maintain the conversation, but also do not expect that there would be, a lot of movement when it comes to actual purchases or claiming that experience right away. So that's rather straightforward, I believe, of course.
Yes, maintaining the conversation and as well staying on top of the mind is indeed very essential. As you know, China is a very large market. In fact, it's several markets into one. To make things even more complicated, there are many types and layers of Chinese consumers, even in just one city, like Shanghai, for example. So how should a niche luxury brand approach the China market to build its brand awareness and generate sales?
I would say go small. If you're a niche, find your niche. It's not that straightforward to find that niche, because a lot of people, they just say, oh, you know what, I'm after women that are, 35 to 45. Great. And then, I'm looking for somebody from first tier cities. But my question is why? But do you know their behavior? Like, how are we determining just by age or by geography? It's actually not very precise. Do you understand their behavior? Do you understand their values, their expectations, their consumer journey, etc.? So in order for you to really be successful, definitely find a very niche market and dominate it. China is such an oversupplied market. There are competitors, everywhere. And even though I said that I don't believe in competitors, but there are people, and companies offering the same thing. So if you want to be unique, just find your niche. What is your selling point, and what is desirable in China specifically that your product offers the best? And essentially, as a niche brand, it would be extremely important to also activate it offline, especially if you're going to second or third tier cities. It would be extremely important to hire proper KOCs, right? Somebody who is willing to speak on your brand's behalf, or even small bloggers. It will be extremely important to be very selective when it comes to social media platforms, because you also don't need to be on all 60 of them. You don't necessarily, for instance, need to be on Weibo, or for example, you don't necessarily need to be on WeChat. Maybe you also not necessarily need to be on live streaming, even though right now it's very difficult. But depending on what kind of brand value you have, and what kind of audience you are after, you can choose your right platform, your strategy, and essentially go for it. You want to dominate that market. Maybe you just want one city. Maybe you want to go to Chongqing and Chengdu and just dominate that city. You want to create that buzz. And then from there on, you can expand into more niches and more cities and more essentially demographics. So this is the strategy that small brands need to use. It is possible for foreign brands, even right now in 2021, to dominate those niches, but it's becoming more and more difficult. If you are not targeted enough, if you don't have enough budget, if you don't have enough stamina and enough clarity in your own head, because you're going to burn money and time like nothing. So making sure that there is clarity, there's enough stamina, there's enough money, and there's, as said, the right plan, makes sure that your chances for success are much, much higher.
Yes, so identify your unique selling points and find your niche market, and stay targeted and stay focused. As you just explained, budget as well is important. China can be very overwhelming for smaller luxury brands. How can you achieve tangible results with a limited marketing budget on Chinese social media?
Yeah, this is a $5 million question, and actually, very often I get questions like this from people, yeah, coming in, and my answer is always determine whether China is your most important market. Because if you are going into China and you say, you know what, I've got this phenomenal product, but I only have, let's say, 50,000 US dollars as my yearly marketing budget in China, I'm sorry, that's not enough. Like, there's nothing you can do. There's just nothing you can do, especially in luxury industry. Maybe you can open one pop-up store, but even getting that sorted out, it's not going to bring you, what does it mean, tangible results? I mean, people expect a positive ROI from every dollar that they're investing. I'm sorry, we're in 2021 and this is not going to happen. First, the market needs to know you. Luxury is desirable. So how can you make your brand desirable? It needs to be known, it needs to be explained, it needs to be cool, it needs to be connecting with people. So you need to tell stories. Luxury, it's all about a story. Ooh, where was this watch made? Who made it? You know, how did it actually end up, on my wrist? All these are stories that people connect with. So you need to tell those stories. And in China, telling the stories or creating content is expensive. At the same time, pushing this content out to people, doing advertising is expensive. If you want somebody to endorse that story, like a small blogger or a big KOL, I'm sorry, that is also expensive. If you want to people to feel and touch, and very often, especially for luxury, that's necessary. If you want them to feel and touch and you need to open a pop-up store, that's also expensive. So if you do not have, I would say, I don't know, the least you probably would need from China is still 150 to 300,000 US dollars as purely marketing budget outside of your marketplace. And this is just to try, just to see, would that make any effect? Like, how is China responding to my product? I'm telling my story, and shall I adjust the story? How do they like my product? Shall I be telling the story to a different audience? So that is the minimum play budget. Obviously, the more you have, the more you can do, but you need to have realistic expectations. If you're going into China as a small brand and you have very limited budget and you still expect tangible results, which I interpret as positive ROI, I would say, I'm sorry, China is not for you at this stage, and there's not going to be positive ROI. And very often that positive ROI does not happen for the first between 9 to 18 months, and you need to be ready for that, and you need to budget for that. Because if it is your most important development market, the market where you want to be successful within the next 5 years, you need to invest first before you can reap the benefits. What is your take, Joanne?
Yes, I fully agree with you. A good strategy is important, but it goes hand in hand with a good marketing budget. And you cannot, conquer the China market within just a short lead time. So I fully agree with you. And this question I get as well very often from our clients and potential clients. Ashley, can you expect quick wins to reach a critical mass of potential customers, or is this a long-term game and you must arm yourself with patience?
Well, I would say, right now in the time when we are all after best top 10 tips and 5-minute kind of solutions and fixes, everybody is looking for something that can be fixed fast, like what's it called, the hacked, right? Hacking marketing and growth hacking, etc. I personally believe that there's no elevator to success. There's just the stairs, and you need to take them. However, there are things that can speed you up. For example, success leaves tracks, and you can follow in somebody else's footsteps. You can learn, and you shall learn from the industry and your competitors. You don't need to make and repeat their mistakes. You also can speed up by having a very strong China team. So hire the right people. If you're planning to do it without China team, then hire the right partners that are essentially your marketing team or your sales team or both. And apart from all that, I believe staying agile is extremely important. It's a lot faster, whatever happens in China, than in the rest of the world. And you need to give your China team, be it through partners or be it through your actual, employees, you need to give them a certain level of flexibility, a certain level of authority where they can call shots, obviously consulting with you, but making those shots. Just because, again, we are operating in an unknown, different territory, and we need to be fast to react to those changes. So I can't, say that success in China can be 100% growth hacked, and it can happen sooner if you do A, B, C. But having your team on the ground, experienced, and having the right, obviously, outsourcers, consultants, or whoever, making sure that you learn from competitors, so you have an actually sound strategy, making sure that you come in with the right expectations, with the right timeline, the right budget, that you're not delusional or expecting something that truly cannot be achieved, right? If you come in with a lot of respect to the way the market works, for example, the fact that you might need to run a private pool, even though it's very manual and it takes a lot of time, etc. But you need to do that, or coming in understanding that, live streaming right now is no longer optional, and I need to do it. And perhaps I need to hire a person that just goes and live streams every single day just for this specific channel. So you need to come in with a lot of respect to the market, with the right people, and of course with the right cases to hopefully make your journey shorter.
Yes, I fully agree. Progress and development, it's very important, and relying on the China experts and specialists. And as well, China presence, immediate presence, is as well very important. And a lot of international companies believe activities like live streaming, it's only for the masses, or it's very, very volume driven. But as you see, all luxury brands are doing live streaming as well. That's just what the Chinese consumer wants.
Absolutely.
The Chinese social media landscape is very different. It is also very diverse and specialized in some ways. If a luxury brand has not yet started a presence on China's social media, which platforms are critical for them to be on, to your opinion, Ashley?
Well, again, it depends on the luxury brand, but if we're talking about travel, or we talk about let's say fashion or watches, I think Red is a great platform to be on. If we are talking about something super high luxury, then probably WeChat is also not bad, just because it's exclusive, just because you can really provide them very cool service through this private concierge. But WeChat is basically very difficult to kickstart the community, to really cater and find and target and expand this community if you don't have offline get-togethers, events, or product where you can display a card with your QR code, or some sort of customer service, a CRM system, and a chain of shops very often, right? So Red is great. WeChat is usually a good platform for luxury. You can also do a lot of things, as I mentioned, on live streaming, but for that you would definitely, for example, like Tmall, right? Weihao, if you want to be successful in Weihao, do live streaming, etc., you need to actually have a Tmall store. So it depends on whether this luxury brand already has this presence and has this setup. I also think that there are, for instance, let's say Weibo, right, Bilibili, etc. You need to see whether this is truly high luxury or this is young luxury. If you're in young luxury, try new platforms, try Bilibili, and give it at least 4 to 6 months, and you will see whether it takes traction. When it comes to Douyin, for instance, some companies and some luxury brands are also doing Douyin, for luxury. It's not bad, but again, is your audience there? Are they young? Are they cool? Are they fun? How do you make sure that you don't drop your brand value? So it's all in the creatives. So for these younger, cooler platforms, you really need to make sure that your creatives, your videos are great. And for that, you need a huge budget. So for Douyin to really do it, for instance, really, really well, you need to publish videos every single day, and videos need to be relevant and cool. So you either hire the creators or you get a creator on your team to do it for you full time. But this is the choice and the balance that each brand is essentially evaluating when they come up with the China strategy for the first year. And you will also see that your strategy for the first year is very different from strategy from the second year. Right? So I would say look at the usual suspects, Red, WeChat, etc. And then look at younger, cooler platforms, more niche platforms as well. Sometimes niche platforms provide you a lot more growth and opportunities, but you need to be brave, and you need to be sure that your audience is likely there, and you need to be sure that you can create a specific platform tailored content regularly.
Great. Typically, luxury brands are not aiming to reach the masses. They are eager to reach the discerning, affluent, ultra-high net worth individuals. Is this possible through Chinese social media?
Well, right now I would say everything and everybody is happening online in China, and it's truly a lot more digital than anywhere else in the world. So all sorts of Chinese consumers, from the farmers to the super affluent, super high net worth individuals, they are all on Chinese social media. Yes, they are. They are on e-commerce platforms, they are on social media, they're engaging, watching content, participating in campaigns, etc., etc. It's just that how do you segment, how do you reach, and how do you establish a relationship with them? Just to show in front and pop up in front of their eyes for the luxury brand, that's not enough. Truly, to build a connection with them, you need to have at least 5 to 7 touch points. And some of these touch points need to be happening offline as well. So the audience is there, to answer your question. Can you reach them online? Absolutely. You can target, pay for advertising, target your competing, brands. At the same time, to build a true connection, you need some two-way communication through a concierge, through an offline get-together. So it is a combination of O2O for luxury at this stage.
It's a bit like finding a needle in a giant haystack, though. Is there a niche social media platform for this type of customer, or a magical filtering system?
Yeah, well, as I said, there's just no magic as far as I know anywhere in the world. It's just not possible. Some try, and I would say what is very popular right now is that brands are building their own mini programs. They're building their own elaborate apps within an app, right? Where they are interacting with their high net worth individuals, and that takes effort, and obviously they are not going to be sharing that information with anybody else. I don't know of any luxury platform that is specifically focused on high luxury, high net worth individuals successfully. But there are platforms that are rather big and famous, where people are purchasing secondhand luxury. And this is actually a great entry point. If you are into luxury experiences, and if you are into kind of entry luxury, or you're targeting younger consumers, then there's a huge potential to collaborate with these platforms to advertise, to offer your products, etc., etc. And essentially, of course, a lot of platforms, including e-commerce and social media, they also have these luxury festivals, when we have 1 week and luxury brands are just taking over, and essentially it is catering to these certain type of customers. So you might want to go and strategically collaborate with a platform for this luxury festival to get fans, to get audience, and to get a taste of how the consumers are actually reacting to your specific product or offering.
Great, thank you for your advice. China can be a minefield for marketeers. Cultural differences, as you mentioned, political sensitivities, and more. We have all heard about DNG challenges in some of their campaigns and direct communications. What are your recommendations to luxury brands to avoid falling in the trap of cliches or incorrectness that may upset the audience?
Well, I think that step number one, you need to have your PR crisis handling guidebook. And sadly, very few brands do have that. You need to have a manual which tells you, okay, in case we have crisis, what is the response time? What do we do? What do we say? Where do we communicate? Who communicates? What? Who makes a decision? Etc. etc. Because when the crisis, when the let's call it feathers hit the fan, right? When that happens, you really need to act fast. And if you don't have your act together, you can't act fast. And the more you wait, the more this scandal, this dissatisfaction will grow, and the bigger the problem will become. We've seen brands, luxury brands, including luxury brands, that have been very successful at the moment, you know, something blew up, they would just go and very quickly make an announcement and apologize and essentially be sincere about it and say, here are the steps that we've taken to make sure this doesn't happen again. And then it basically subsides, the whole issue is resolved very quickly. And we've seen other brands that are sitting there and they're silent for 3 days, or even worse, they go and they start saying, oh, it wasn't me, that didn't happen, that's really wasn't me. And of course, this just makes, basically you just add oil into the fire. So this is really step number one. Step number two, again and again, I repeat that quite often, but I think not often enough, empower your China team. Usually your mainland China team, or the consultants that you work with, or both your mainland China team on the ground and the consultants that you're working with, empower them and act on their recommendations. If they tell you that something is not appropriate or wouldn't be great, or potentially is a concern, listen to them and don't vet content or products for China, from headquarters. Have somebody on the ground to also do second checking and second guessing and essentially second round of approvals. I think that's very, very important. There's been brands that would put, slogans on the t-shirts that would be absolutely inappropriate for Chinese culture, but the brand would do it and their China team has no say. Or that would approve certain campaigns or certain messages that could be interpreted in a very negative way in China, and yet again it just goes and goes basically live. So empower your China team is number two. And number three, when the crisis hits, I think that authenticity is very, very important. You need to know who is your spokesperson for China, who is going to go online and apologize, who is going to, really resolve it. Make sure that this person also undergone some media training. Not that CCTV is gonna, come and request an interview with you right away, but media training also involves social media. So all these are basics for big listed companies, but usually for headquarters. But when it comes to China, again, the speed matters, the sincere message matters, who talks matters, and making sure that your China team has a say and that your China team has your back, it is also paramount.
Yes. Do you have an anecdote from one of your clients, without naming any names, who you had to assist to avoid any potential faux pas? Maybe their local team overseas wanting to do something, but you and your team felt that was not the right direction.
Right. So we actually had a client a couple of years back that was it was actually in the midst of a big crisis, and that was I would say a PR crisis in relation to the leak of data. So imagine this company had a big database of Chinese consumers that were their VIPs. So they were purchasing products for a certain amount every year. And then one morning, our whole team wakes up, and that time we were managing their social media accounts. We wake up literally in the morning and we see a whole storm of messages on Weibo. And literally this big PR crisis evolved overnight. And people were saying, oh my God, I received a phone call claiming to be your VIP department. And that phone call, they were basically saying that in order to renew VIP, I need to pay like $100 or $200, etc., etc. So there was a leak of data, and then somebody, obviously some scammers, they were actually getting in touch with the people and saying that if you want to renew VIP, you need to pay. And of course it went online, and there were a lot of groups talking about it, and there were people requesting money back, and there were hashtags saying, oh my God, this brand is 太过分了, like they are super ridiculous, please give me the money back, etc., etc., like super crazy. So we basically had I believe within 3 or 4 hours come up with a whole framework of communication, posters on official websites, on official WeChat, Weibo, red pages. We had to make sure that all that is happening. And also within the team, we had 3 people within the team of the client to be the point of contact. All their work basically for the next 2 weeks was to reply every single person on social media that, hi, we are really sorry, please give me your details, we're going to give you the money back, etc., etc., etc. And then 2 days later there was a big announcement on, how did the leak happen, what are we doing to make sure that this doesn't happen again, make sure that, if you've been impacted, contact our XYZ department, we're going to make sure that the refund is happening, etc., etc. So that was a very cool experience for us. We loved it. We definitely don't want to repeat it again, but it was fun to see how even a big crisis, privacy leak plus involving the money and all that, but it can be handled with a lot of work and clear direction, and also being sincere, quick to admit mistakes. And I think this is one example that we can all learn from.
Yes, well done on you and the team on this crisis management. China's social media ecosystem evolves at light speed. The strategies that were right 6 months ago on WeChat might be irrelevant today. What do you recommend our listeners to do to keep up with the fast-changing environment and stay relevant to the audience?
Well, I would say the cheapest and the easiest thing to do, make sure that your team who is managing your social media accounts, they stay on top of the hot trends on Weibo. So Weibo has obviously this function where you can see what is trending today in my hometown, what is trending today in China, and making sure that you stay on top of those trends. At the same time, you can do the same thing on Douyin, a bit of social listening. You can also subscribe to a couple of tools that are specifically looking into your space, or observing and looking after a couple of brands that you're interested in, so that you have your hand on the pulse. At the same time, I would always say every half a year you need at least one training. You need to train your team, because your team, if you're handling your marketing or e-commerce in-house, they only see that one industry. They don't see beyond it, and maybe they're just familiar with these 3 or 4 platforms that they're on. So you need to have a training to, first of all, upskill them, make sure that their skills on these platforms are on par. And you also need to bring them a bit of fresh air, perspective from other industries, perspective from other platforms, perspective from a broader world. So trainings are, in my view, crucial. I train my in-house teams all the time. Every 2 weeks we have a training which goes half a day. Every 2 weeks. And why do I do that? Not because I'm sitting there and saying, oh my God, how else to occupy my team? But because it is necessary for China. New functions, new platforms, new advertising ways, or WARFA, right? They are all being created as we speak. So you need to make sure that you stay on top. For internal teams, at least half a year, make sure that is happening. And of course, number 3, your headquarters also needs to be updated. And you can do that through subscribing to a lot of newsletters. You can follow some people on LinkedIn. You can read some blogs. You can also invite people for a keynote or training, right? So just make sure that there's insights. Actually, in our firm, we also have the insights group where companies and people subscribe, and once a week we are sending them the most important developments when it comes to consumers or e-commerce or social media. So find the way that is most appropriate for you. Either it's monitoring Weibo hashtags all the time for your specific needs, or you subscribe to social listening, or you are getting insights into your mailbox, and somebody curates those insights and creates them for you, and plus do the training.
Yes, ongoing training to update yourself and a team is crucial. I believe a lot of companies very often overlook this. The pandemic has changed a lot of consumer habits. In the West, experts say that the digital economy has leapfrogged years because of it. China was ahead of the West before the pandemic. Has China experienced a similar acceleration too? And what changes have you seen in the use of social media in the luxury segment by brands or consumer habits?
When it comes to luxury, first of all, everybody's online right now. So everybody has all brands in luxury have their online store. Many of them do daily live streaming. Many of them are collaborating with not only big bloggers, but they also started building their smaller blogger and their own kind of KOC, and building their own private pools, which is beautiful. So I also see that luxury brands start looking at how to integrate online to offline in a more effective way, not just for, pretty visuals, right? But in a more effective way, so that it would create connection and at the same time drive sales and ROI, etc. So I think luxury brands are finally recognizing that there's no escape from digital, that you as a luxury brand can be digital and can still be luxury, and they're finally realizing that there are ways. They are not straightforward, but there are ways to make your digital promotion linked with offline promotion, and essentially that together in combination drives business results. So these are the things that I see, and I think the biggest probably realization is the shift of mindset of luxury brand owners and companies and teams. They right now finally not gave up, but finally entered our digital world, which is extremely exciting to observe.
Fast forwarding to 5 or 10 years, what do you predict will be the most exciting evolution on social media that luxury brands should look forward to and get ready for?
Well, I think 5 to 10 years from now, the world is going to be extremely different. And I am not a fortune teller to predict how different it's going to be. But with my little understanding of where the technology is going right now, especially in China at the age of implementation of that technology, I would say that everything is going to be about data and getting to know your customer really, really well. By then, we will definitely have 6G, which means we're going to have holographic projections. By then, we are definitely going to have a lot more of those personal AIs interactions, right? So when we can sit at the table with another person who is physically not there, but we can see them as if they're there. I believe that we are going to move away from just smartphones as a interface that helps us to interact with the internet and this digital world. We are probably going to move into some sort of glasses or even lenses that help us interact. We will probably move away from typing, and voice is going to be a lot more important, because typing is distracting, and you can say, or sometimes some people say, even think of something and then it will happen, essentially, right? So I believe that 5 to 10 years from now is going to be, as mentioned, significantly different. And for us as luxury brands, we are usually very conservative. We're usually very slow to change and very resistant towards that change. But I truly believe that in this new age, in this newfound future of humankind, when we are truly becoming, just like Yuval Harari says, Homo Deus, right? We're becoming the next, not Homo sapiens, but the next stage of humans. Luxury brands need to find a way to integrate. You need to integrate yourself in this scenario, into this new playground. And if you've watched the movie Ready Player One, I think that maybe not in 5 or 10 years, but ultimately in a couple of decades from now, this is a little bit where we're going. They're going to be virtual reality, and you need to have virtual scenarios of luxury consumption and promotion and sales and experience. So, digitalization, and it's not just the story of tech and I do not know old industries such as chemistry and everybody who's going through circular economy or whatever stories, right? But it is a story of everybody, every business that is working right now. So stay on top, make sure that you are trying new things. Maybe you don't need to be the first mover because our industry is conservative, but you definitely need to be in the second echelon of movers. You can't wait until you're left behind, because in China, we already right now in 2021 have brands that are aspiring luxury, that are all up for premiumization of everything. And they are not going to be waiting to try. They're going to be luxury, and they're going to be innovators, and they're going to be the ones that are early adopters. And I think this will probably become the first and new breed of luxury brands, and very likely truly digital, beautiful, digitalized, beautiful luxury brands are most likely going to come out of China. And I'm looking forward to see them in 3 to 5 years from now.
It sounds like an exciting and a very interesting world that you describe, Ashley.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, same here. Your dad told you that you do not need an idea to start a business. But today, 9 years on, what's your mission in business, Ashley?
Absolutely. So my father, a long time ago, he said you don't start your business with an idea, you start it with business, right? So you need to do something really well, and other people come to you and say, hey, I want to pay you for those cupcakes or for that painting that you've created. So when I started my business, I pretty much went the same route. I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur, but then I was doing the thing and people came to me and said, wow, you're really cool at this. Can I pay you for this project? I said, yes, sure, let's do this. So my mission as an entrepreneur right now, when I understand this journey much better, when I truly feel that entrepreneurship is very cool, it is enjoyable, it is fun, it is expanding you, it is improving industry, it is helping people. I see my mission as the connector, as I said, between China and the world. I see my mission as an inspirer. I want to inspire people, not only in our industry, but anywhere. I want to inspire them to act, to be thought leaders, to create companies, to employ others, to share their knowledge, to see that business and work and sharing, it is all extremely enjoyable. You can have fun and you can make money and you can help others all in one go. It is all possible. So my journey, to summarize, maybe cheesy, but it is to connect China with the world on the one hand, and on the other hand, it's also inspire people for their greatness. Keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun, and keep making the pie bigger.
Very inspiring, Ashley. We're getting close to the end of our conversation. I still would like to ask you a few more questions, a bit more personal.
Sure.
Are you ready, Ashley?
Absolutely.
You're hyper connected, especially for work. Do you disconnect sometimes? And how?
Well, absolutely, I do. When I go out with my husband, I don't bring my phone. Actually, on the weekend, when I go out, be it for a hike or to a restaurant, I never bring my phone. So there are times, downtimes, so for example, we play mahjong with friends. When I go to my mahjong get together, I do not bring my phone. And I think everybody needs that time. Just don't bring the device, and then you will not be tempted to check your LinkedIn or to go onto your email or messages.
Yes, no phone. Well done on you, Ashley. Drawing inspiration from one of your numerous interviews, you're going to Hollywood. What acting role are you looking for?
Well, I absolutely love acting, And I would see myself, actually I would absolutely love to be the queen, because I've already acted in Shakespearean play. I've already been in a couple of other like Russian plays. So I think at one point I want to be a queen, and I don't know whether I want a historical piece or just a modern interpretation, but I think that would be very, very cool, a young queen. And in general, I think it needs to be something fun, something, it doesn't need to be comedy, but definitely something bright and positive, because I don't watch gloomy or dramatic movies. I don't see myself in those at all. So it needs to be, my kind of animation, happy Pixar / happy Netflix interpretation of reality.
Something reflecting your personality. How about this one? You are the host of a popular talk show. What is the talk show about?
Well, it is about China market, Chinese consumers, and social media. I also talk about mindset, and I absolutely love empowering more women to go into business and to take up leadership position. So I also talk about essentially women in business and leadership, and of course mindset. I think for entrepreneurs, the most important thing is mindset. Your business can never outperform your mindset. So working on your psychology, I'm a never-ending learner and student of psychology. So I also love to cover these topics, apart from China, in my talk shows.
And the last question, choose one. Yamcha, dim sum, spicy Sichuan hot pot, or I'm not sure if I pronounced this well enough, Piance, Russian steamed buns from where you're from.
I would say pince. But if you ask Xiaolongbao, I would opt for Xiaolongbaos.
Okay, pince or Xiaolongbao?
Xiaolongbaos, any day.
Okay, next time you're in Shanghai, I invite you for Xiaolongbao.
I'm looking forward to that.
It was a true pleasure speaking with you today, Ashley, and thank you for being one of our luxury voices.
Thank you so much, Joanne. It was such a pleasure to be here.